Welcome to the Conservation Is podcast, a Conservation Chat UK production. This is the place where we start the conversation about all things conservation and share them with our listeners. You can join in and interact with us using the hashtag ConservationIs and the hashtag ConservationChatUK. Let's start the conversation. Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Conservation Is podcast. My name is Laura and I'm your host. I'm coming at you today with a solo podcast because I wanted to talk about how to boost your experience with CPD Opportunities. If you don't know what CPD stands for, it means Continued Professional Development. So the reason I wanted to talk about this today is because many of you are currently studying courses within the animal science field, whether that be a level 3 in animal management, a foundation degree in animal science, a marine biology honours degree, or a master's in conservation biology and policy. And we all know how important it is to gain practical and physical experience to go hand in hand with your education, to be truly employable once you reach the end of your course. But it might not be something that you're really thinking about because you're so kind of focused on the education aspect. So to start, I want to briefly tell you about my story and my journey in the animal science field and a few areas of CPD I engaged in to really boost my CV, my practical skills, but most importantly, my confidence, because believe it or not, I used to be a really, really shy person and new things used to scare me just as much as they scare most other people. But I really learnt to take the reins in my own education and my own career and start saying yes to things that I necessarily wouldn't have before, so that I could really boost my confidence, my experience, my skill set, and make myself as employable as possible and as useful to whoever I was working for as possible. So I was rather late to the game when it comes to higher education, but just because I was a bit older, I never let that define what I could and couldn't start. I think a really important thing I want to stress here is how it's never too late to start a new venture and you're never too old to go back to college or university. So to those of you who are saying, I'm too old to start a new course, I've got too many responsibilities, etc., etc. Like there's always a way that you can boost your education, start again and start a new venture. And I really encourage you to do so if you feel stuck or stagnant in your current role. So for me to start this story, I need to take us all the way back to 2015. I was 25 years old then, and I was backpacking through Central America with an ex-partner. We were basically just bumbling around, enjoying each day as it came, doing lots of beaches and forests and what have you. But while we were out there, I really felt I needed to do something for the greater good and conquer some of the nervousness I had around trying new things. So I found a dog and cat sanctuary when I was in Antigua, Guatemala, and arranged to spend a few days volunteering there. To make a long story short, I was cleaning up some dog poo, yes, dog poo, from a kennel, and I had something of an epiphany. It suddenly occurred to me after years of not knowing what I wanted to do with my professional life that I wanted to work with animals, and it was such a duh moment, like why haven't I been doing this like my whole life? It just felt like a key going into a lock, something clicked and it made sense, finally. After years of working in retail and being really, really miserable, it had finally become very clear to me that I needed to work with animals. So up until this point, I thought that the only way to work with animals was to become a vet, a zookeeper, or a farm worker, and none of these appealed to me at all. But I decided to start searching for courses related to animals in my local area at home in Torbay. And that's when I found a level 3 animal management course at the South Devon College. And this marks the beginning of an incredible journey for me. I would say it was the catalyst that starts this amazing journey. But even when I started my course and throughout my course, I still wasn't very clear on what I wanted to do. So that's where the continued professional development, the CPD, comes in really strong here. I'm just going to take you through what I did CPD wise. So in addition to my course, I'm studying my level 3 animal management course. And then on top of that, I'm doing other things. So during this time, it was a year. You can do a 2-year animal management course if you want, but I did really well in my first year, so it allowed me to go straight up to university. But anyway, I digress. let's talk about what CPD I did when I was doing my level 3 animal management course. So one of the first things I did, and this actually, I lied a little bit just now, this one actually was for college, because to complete your level 3 animal management, you have to complete a certain amount of volunteer within like an animal-based role. So I decided to volunteer for the Blue Cross in my local area, and I worked there for 6 months free of charge, working with cats, socialising cats, just getting to know the Blue Cross process, and any opportunities that they gave me there, I always said yes. So I think a lot of volunteers usually just kind of sit in with the cats and socialise them, which is really important. That's not say that's not important. It is for the rehoming process, but I was actually invited in on health checks and first aid. I was invited to go along to pick up cats from homes, and it's a hard thing to take cats away from their families because they not always want to give them away. They have to because of money, etc. So I was really lucky to be involved in that aspect of things. Another thing I did was I volunteered for FarmWise at the Devon County Show in 2016, and this involved just kind of really communicating with the Devon County Show guests, people who went to the Devon County Show. And I was doing things like making cream out of milk. I'd have a group of kids surrounding me, and I'd pour some milk into a little tub with a lid on, and I'd shake it, and I'd get all the kids to shake it, and then it would curdle and it would start to create cream, and they're just all so amazed. And although like children aren't my kind of key area of expertise, that was a really good experience for me, and I was told that I was really good with the children, so that was really useful. We're also showing people how to plant potatoes and how to look after geese and ducks and chickens and things, and I got a certificate for that, just as an acknowledgement that I'd helped out of my own time to do something for a company like that. I also, through the college, Ockham Farm were actually struggling with staff at the time for their animal section. So me and a load of other students decided to go and help them out, basically. So we did things like mucking out and, cleaning enclosures and things and feeding and stuff for a day or two. Something that's really not really animal care related, but this is something that's really, I think, kind of outside the box. And me and one of my lecturers were chatting, and we wanted to get the word out about threatened species and their numbers dropping. And before I started my animal kind of education journey, I was really into photography. I actually originally wanted to be a wildlife photographer, but it just didn't go that way for me. I kind of gave up on it, to be honest. It didn't feel right. It didn't feel like it was my career path. But I still do love photography, and I engage in it quite often. I've got some nice equipment. So we decided that I would go and take some photos of some of the endangered species that they have at Peyton Zoo, and we create an exhibition. So using my Photoshop skills and my photography skills, I created some posters which showed the species. For example, say it was a gibbon, and it would show the amount that species has reduced since whenever. If I still have these any of these, I'll input them for you to see. I don't think I do, to be honest, but this kind of thing was really cool for me because it allowed me to use my photography skills and do it in relation to animal science. And then I showcased that in the street of South Devon College to all the other students, and they come up and ask me about it, and I'd talk to them about these animals and why they were going extinct, etc. I volunteered for community days that weren't so linked to my course, but would help with developing a variety of experience. So this includes showcasing technology and science, such as drones and VR headsets. And I also volunteered at a horticulture day. So horticulture is like plants and stuff. So that wasn't really my area, but I thought, you know what? It's not going to kill me. It's going to give me some cool experience. So I'll go and do some horticulture stuff. I also attended conferences and talks hosted by lecturers at the college, and went to environmental and animal science-based events at other universities. such as the Wildlife Trafficking Symposium hosted at the University of Plymouth. And this was a really good networking opportunity. So in between talks, you could go and speak to the people who had been giving presentations. And I got chatting to a nice lady who ran a rehabilitation centre. So she used to take in rejected animals, basically, people who'd go and buy a lizard, for example, and wouldn't actually be able to look after it properly, and she would take them in. And I got chatting to her, which was cool. And there's lots of other people there. So if you're into like rescuing animals or protecting animals from trafficking or the exotic pet trade, like that kind of thing's really good for that. And I actually was really lucky here, but I snapped up the chance to go to Sweden bear tracking with the university students when one of them actually dropped out. So I was a level 3 and I got to go on a university trip. So you just need to be brave enough to take the reins and be like, yeah, I'm going to do that. I didn't know anyone. The only people I knew was a couple of lecturers there. But I made some really cool friends there and had a really cool week looking for bears and looking at reindeer and trekking in the Swedish kind of woods and stuff. So that was all really beneficial for me. And just kind of, it's always good fun, isn't it, to go travelling? So that's everything I can think of. I'm sure there's probably more. Stu usually remembers more of the stuff that I've done than I do. So, but I'm going to move on now to my Foundation Animal Science course and the CPD that I got involved in for this course. So I stood as student representative for 2 years, and in my experience, people generally don't want to do this role. Like, it seems like too much extra work and stuff, but actually I found it really useful for my personal development because it taught me how to take information from my course, the people on my course, and relay it in a non-biased way. So I would literally be the messenger. I wouldn't have any my issues at the university, for example, or me wanting to express my opinion could still come through, but I'd never use it as an opportunity to be on a soapbox, you know what I mean? I really learned how to take information from others, include mine within that, but make it as unbiased as possible and just really professional. So I did that for 2 years, and I actually won an award for Student Representative of the Year. So that was really cool, and I felt like it was just a really good experience. So if you get the opportunity to be student rep on your course, don't shy away, just give it a go. You only have to go to 4 meetings the entire year, and it's just a really good way to get to know your lecturers better, the people in charge, and also other people on other courses similar to yours, so the years above. So it just gave me an opportunity to meet different people, which was really nice. In my second year of my foundation degree, I became a student ambassador. Now, you actually get paid for this job, but it's really, really good for CPD because it means that you're interacting with prospective students, you're talking to them about the course that they want to do, which is related to yours. So it'd usually be students that want to come on to the foundation course. And I would talk to them about my experience and why it's good, maybe why it's not perfect for them. I would always be honest in these situations. And I'd also give talks, and they were always impromptu. It'd be like the day before, they'd be like, can you come and speak to this group of level 3s about your course? And I'd go in and I'd have to just talk about my experience off the top of my head in front of a class of people. And that probably makes a lot of people's hearts drop, but I actually really love presenting, and actually through university is how I found this passion for presenting. So just that's another thing you can do is practice presenting, because you will have to use that skill in the animal science field. There's just no way around it. So moving on from the student ambassador, I actually, with a couple of friends, so I had a friend who was in my year of the university course, and then a couple of people at the year above, and we all started a Facebook live show that we did every Monday at 3:00. And it was called Animal Shorts. So live on Facebook, we would sit down with some notes and some props, and even animal props, like real life animal props, and we would talk about a specific animal. Like one week it would be birds. We wouldn't have any live birds in that situation. But I remember another time we were talking about amphibians. So we had one of the salamanders out, and we were displaying the salamander and talking about its physiology and its behavior and stuff, and just giving educational information out via the university's Facebook page to our fellow students. And that was really good fun because we'd have to kind of find all the information ourselves. So it was a bit of extra work and a bit of extra research, but it just meant that we were learning more about animals in our free time. And by teaching others, you learn it better yourself. So that's a really good way of getting a bit of CPD. And it's a creative way, it's more fun. You could even start a YouTube channel with the permission of your college, or you could just start your own YouTube channel and start doing animal stuff. You never know. Whatever your passion is, just start showcasing it to the world, because everybody needs more enthusiasm and more inspiration. I also organised and conducted a beach clean with my friends and family, because we all know the situation with the plastic pollution. So I decided to do that as goodwill. I actually spent basically a week with the UK Blue Shark Project, and that was really cool because I don't want to work with sharks, but who would pass up the opportunity to volunteer on a shark project? It's such a cool thing, and working alongside one of my lecturers really closely and supporting him with his science was really, really cool for me. And this meant travelling to Penzance really early in the morning, going on the boat, sitting on the boat all day, waiting for blue sharks to come, and then trying to take tissue samples. So this was a really practical, real life, free opportunity to work with wild animals and in the animal conservation field. So that was one of my highlights actually from university. Most of you probably know that I study harbour porpoises, and I've been doing this since my first year of university. So my second year of university, sorry. So during my second year of university, I had to conduct like a professional project, a miniature dissertation, I like to call it. But I would say it's just as much work, to be honest. It's like a practice for your dissertation. And I studied the harbour porpoises in Brixham. I found some really interesting results and I ran with them basically. So I went and presented my research at the Association for the Study of Animal Behaviour conference in 2018, I want to say. And this is actually a really prestigious conference, and it was for master's students, and I managed to get in as a second year foundation student. So that was really cool for me. I'll never forget this. I didn't give a physical presentation, like me stood up in front of everyone. I gave a poster because I didn't feel quite ready at that point. But I gave a poster presentation and I got chatting to some really enthusiastic, cool young people in the science field. And I just got to, show off my work basically and hear talks from other people about their research. And I also, that same year, probably like 2 weeks later, I actually presented. So I gave a physical presentation about my research at the Mammal Society Student Conference. And this was a big groundbreaker for me because I've never stood up in front of so many people before. Like I won best presentation for that. So that was really cool. And I got chatting to people who are offering like master's opportunities and things like that. So never underestimate how important visiting these conferences are. Even if you're not presenting at them, going to them can open up so many doors because you meet people that you wouldn't necessarily have met without going to them. I also later in the year, at the end of my second year of my foundation course, I've presented my research at the university's student showcase. So at University South Devon, I stood up in front of God knows how many people and presented my research. And I had some really good feedback about that. And it just gives you that lots and lots of practice presenting in like a fairly safe environment. You're with people you know. I actually think it's easier to present to people I don't know. It's far less stressful because they can't judge you if they don't know you. And then once I left the university, I couldn't help myself. I've got this bug for teaching and presenting. So any opportunity I could get, I go back to South Devon College and I give talks to university and level 3 students about my research. And it doesn't necessarily just have to be my porpoise research. I have also given talks about how to engage the public in science, for example, engaging audiences in science. Kind of any opportunity I will take to keep my presentation skills, decent and improving, and also just to interact and I just love it. So I founded Operation Cetacean. So if you're interested in that, just head over to Facebook. We've got a page. But I founded Operation Cetacean. We're not an organisation. We're not a charity. It's just a project that I conduct. I study the harbour porpoises in Torbay, and I have support from 9 really passionate, lovely volunteers. I also, during my foundation degree, supported my lecturers with some lab research, and this was about how plastic pollution was being found in marine fish and fish that you can buy over the counter at your supermarkets. So the lab isn't really somewhere I hang out much. I'm more of an outdoorsy kind of person. I like collecting animal behaviour and research and stuff. I like the more hands-on outdoors stuff. But that's exactly why I took this opportunity to do lab work, because it's something I've not really done much in. And I would always encourage you guys to try and build on the areas that you don't have as much experience in. So if you don't really care much for lab work, or you haven't really done any, just if you see an opportunity to do it, just do it anyway, because it just fills those gaps, and you can put it in your CV and you'll be far more employable. And I also, I completed a beekeeping course, and that was just for me really, because I think bees need to be protected, and it would be beneficial to have a hive one day, but I still haven't got my beehive yet. I don't think my neighbours would be too happy about that, but this was just really nice little bit of education in the evenings about bee biology and how to look after bees in a hive and how they work basically as a community. So now I'm going to move on to my BSc Honours in Animal Conservation Science. So after I finished my foundation degree, I moved from University Centre South Devon to the University of Plymouth to do a top-up, a 1-year top-up that made my foundation degree an honours degree, and this was in Animal Conservation Science. Now, in my 3rd year, I was really insistent that I spent as much of my energy as possible just on the education side. I quit my job, so I had all my energy focused on my dissertation and my studies. So I didn't engage in as much CPD during this year, but I did have Operation Cetacean running in the background. So I continued my research with the harbour porpoises outside of university, building, networking with people, continuing the research. I used my research as my dissertation, but I also had my first research published in the Ocean and Coastal Management Journal. So that first project I did in my 2nd year of university, I actually had published, and that is probably my proudest moment. And every time I see my name on this, my initials and my last name at the front of this journal, I just get really excited. So this was really great. I began to start blogs. I started writing blogs about animal conservation science. And I founded Conservation Chat UK with Stuart, and we started to create lots of content that you'll find on our YouTube channel, our website, our Facebook, etc. I continued to go back to South Devon College to give talks to university students, including my porpoise research and how to engage audiences in science, because this is just something I really enjoy, and I think teaching is something that could definitely be in my future. And I continue to attend many public lectures about marine biology and animal science, because you just can't know enough in animal science. It's such a huge and broad field that the more variety of talks that you go to, the more you're going to know, the more inspired you're going to feel. So in addition to all that, that's all very specific to kind of my role in animal science and how I wanted to build my experience within the animal science field. But there are a few other things that you can do which are more transferable. So you can do things like fire marshal training, first aid training. If you're into marine, you could do a marine life rescue course. But there's also something in the science field which is really useful. It's something I haven't done and I should do. And it's something that all of you guys should do, because it's really, really good for you. And it encourages you to do even more CPD, because you have to complete so many CPD hours within this. But it's STEM training. So if I get this right, it's science, technology, engineering and maths. So you do a short course and you become a STEM ambassador. And then you have to complete CPD to keep your role as a STEM ambassador. But I know a few people who have done it, and it's a really good way to make your CV look better, for one, to meet new people, and to keep your CPD up and running all the time. Continued professional development should never have an end. It should always be ongoing, learning new things, developing your profile. So hopefully you guys can see that you can rack up tons of experience even while you're still at college or university. So when you do leave and have a job at the end of it, you have lots of experience to showcase to your employers. Remember, say yes to opportunities no matter how unrelated. Everything counts at the end of the day. And from personal experience, I didn't know what I wanted to do for a career going into animal education. However, by trying everything I could and keeping my options open, I was able to narrow things down so I know what I want to do and what I don't want to do. For example, I love wildlife animal behaviour and anything to do with environmentalism and animal conservation. However, I really don't enjoy learning about domestic animals like cats, dogs and cows. So working at an animal shelter or on a farm would never be enough for me. That may be the perfect job for someone else, and perhaps you may hate animal behaviour. We're all different, so it's important that we try new things and kind of dip our toes in the water in different areas so that we truly learn what we want to do with our careers and we're on the right path when we do decide. So animal science is a really broad field and it can take you down so many different avenues. The key is to find success in your career is to develop your skill set with a variety of experiences. So remember, say yes. I can't stress that enough. Say yes. So that's what I have for you today. This actually went on a little bit longer than I intended it to, but I really, really hope this was helpful. I know that, starting education can be really daunting and thinking, oh, what am I going to do at the end of this? But keep your CPD up and things will become clear each day. So if you have any questions or you want to learn more, please leave me a comment. I'd love to hear from you guys and I'll try my best to give you the best advice I can if you ask for it. Please help me out by liking this video so that it reaches lots of future animal scientists and it may inspire others to do more with their time in education and really make the most of their time at university and college. And if you haven't already, please hit the subscribe button. I'd love to hear back from you and I love seeing you all pop up in the comment section. And thank you so much for listening and I'll speak to you in the next podcast.